value, they're not lending money based on the total development cost. They're doing it on the land value. Even that developer, something goes wrong, at the end of the day, that land, especially zoned land, has a lot of value, especially if it's in a city center. And just as individuals look for foreclosures, developers are always on top of that. And another thing is the developer who, if they do have an issue, they don't want that to be the outcome. Why? Because they don't make these decisions of developing overnight. It's years in the process, a lot of time, a lot of money spent. And at the end of the day, if they've got something that's already there that's valued, and if they've already done the servicing, there's already a market for just servicing, right? So, if they've already got the land prepared and everything, they could sell it to a developer to build on, and there's already a market where some people just do that. The other option is, they can partner with other developers, to make sure it goes to the end and they finish it instead of losing money. Or with the increased value of the land, they can go and get an institution to refinance it and pay the investors back, right? So there's so many different ways around issues that may come up. And compared to being in the mutual funds and that kind of market, it's a complete difference. And the only reason why people think syndicated mortgages are riskier is because everyone's not doing it. Like, if everyone was doing it, it's just like the market. I mean, people saw how much people lost in 2001, in 2008, right? And they're still putting money there. Why? Because they think that's the only option, right? And banks are not going to share these other options with them because they can't earn any fees. I mean, the average management fee is between 2.5% and 3% for those investments. So right away, if someone's in this, that's gone. So now they're already up. And then on top of that, if they're getting 8 fixed, I mean, it's a no-brainer. Like, literally, I think 1% of people I've showed it to, I've said no, only 1%. Because they just didn't get it, or I have no idea, right? But that's that.
How long do you have to keep your money in?
It depends. Like, it's a mortgage, right? So they range between 2 and 5 years generally. Now, there's not too many that are the 2-year term. I mean, services, you may have servicing deals that will be, but if you're actually doing a build, you're looking closer to 3 to 5. Now, obviously, that person needs to know that, and then they have to be comfortable with it. I mean, if I find clients and they're like, well, I'm thinking of buying a house using my RSP next year, then I'll say, okay, don't put your money in that, right? But you do that, I mean, not you personally, but you have to be mortgage licensed to actually get that done. So the mortgage, if it does a know your client questionnaire and finds out all that information and says if it's worthwhile or not, and if it's like, I have one guy that, he's retired, so I broke it down into different periods. So every now and then he'll get an injection of funds, and then he can decide, he can say, hey, everything's fine, yes, I'll roll it back in. Or he can say, well, oh, my car looks like it may be breaking down, let me use some of the money to buy this, let me do this, and So there's different ways of structuring it based on that client, and again, it may not be for every client. You have to look at their situation, right? So, but again, it's not something that you personally would have to do. It's having some access to it. And there are a lot of financial companies right now that could be benefiting huge. I mean, when I first started working with this, I went to a lot of different companies and say, hey, this is something you got to look at. And a lot of them are like, oh, no, it's nothing. But every single day, every single week, every single month, they're losing clients all the time because the clients are tired of that and they're tired of hearing the same old story by the same old advisor that the advisor has no control, the institution has no control, the client has no control in that market space. Here, there's so many controls and mechanisms in place to protect them that they can understand. They can do their own due diligence. They can call the city. They can go on a website. I mean, imagine they go to the website and they see the registration page for the developer. They pick up a home magazine, they scroll through, and then they see that development that they put their money in. That gives them a big sense of security, right? And then also, if they can drive up to it, they can see it. You know what I mean? So it's a completely different concept altogether. And I've had I have advisors that are contracted to me who feel that they don't know about or get real estate or know how to talk about it. So they'll just send me an appointment. And it's happened now a few times. They're like, oh, I have a client and I think they maybe we're looking to put 25 grand in because that's the minimum. I end up going to that client, spend an hour or two with them. All of a sudden I walk out with 200 grand here, 300 grand here, sometimes home equity takeouts to do stuff. And it's just a matter of, and then that advisor's like, wow, because obviously they get a referral out of that, right? But it's that kind of thing, and people are embracing it. And I've had people from all types of risk levels. Like I've had one couple that rushed to pay off their mortgage, didn't have any savings, and all of a sudden that couple, they're like, in their wife's about 63, husband 67, but they went ahead and took a home for money from their home, and they didn't have a choice. The husband, he was 67, retired with no company pension. His CPP and OAS was only $4,000 a year, okay? Now, luckily his wife's a teacher and she has a good job and she'll have a good pension, but at the end of the day, you know, they're like, well, how can we do better? So in his case, we ended up increasing his cash flow by $642 a month with no money out of his pocket and no incremental tax based on the way I structured it for him. So, you know, for him, it's like, here's another $642 for free, right? And, you know, at the end of the day, with that couple, what other choice would they have? If they needed money, what do a lot of people do? They go and they do a reverse mortgage. They go do, I mean, at the end of the day, they're using that money. They have to pay it, or it reduces how much they tax off. It's coming out of them. Like, why not have somebody else pay for you to do this, right? So basically, I've set it up where he gets his payment from the developer on the 15th of the month. His mortgage payment for the line of credit goes out on the 30th of the month. So every month, he's not paying any of his own money for it, and he gets the leftovers. Right? So, you know, like I said, there's different ways, and, you know, for you guys, in the case of that Brampton couple, that $1,700 a month that they're getting, it's like a second and a third income. It's like someone else going to getting a job and working after tax. They got $1,700 a month, but it's their asset working for them, not them, right? So.
Can you give us some examples of cash flow investments? Like, what are these?
Well, there's many types of cash flow investments. Obviously, you know, one of them is real estate, where you know, have a income property, or you have a basement rent out and you have some money coming in, or any investments that generate cash. I mean, it could be different levels. There are some people that, you know, non-registered money into any investment generally will give you a cash flow if it disburses monthly, right? So there's various, I mean, there's tons of different options.
So can you give me some examples of like what kind
Well,
of?
the most secure and the one that I think that you guys would be able to relate to are syndicated mortgages or rental properties or in-home, you know, that, because that's in your, directly related to you, right? I mean, for anything else, you don't have the licenses to talk about or to discuss it. There's no point really knowing too much. I mean, you can go online and Google cash flowing investment and learn about different things just so you have a background, but it's not something that you'll be able to utilize in every day, right? These are the two main scenarios. And so, I mean, if you guys are planning on getting in like a management company or someone that specializes in renos and who has experience in setting up, you know, rental properties, kind of like the TV show that they have there. You know, I'm sure a lot of people watch that show and they're like, oh, we wish we had Scott. Well, you guys could be their Scott. You know what I mean? So it doesn't have to be him. I mean, anyone that knows what they're doing, and, you know, you guys obviously have the statistics and all of that. You know what's a good location, you guys will have all the rental statistics and all that as well. So you can package that for people, and the main thing is to ask them. Because like I said, every day when they're switching channels, before they land on that Leafs game, they're passing this. And they see that, right? So at the end of the day, when they see that, now they're not going to think to ask you about it because they think that, oh, this is, you know, Mars, I'm on Earth. There's no way in hell I'll be able to do this. But if you ask the question, then at least you have that conversation, and then it can become a reality, right? So the main thing is to ask. And you guys, I mean, if they're talking to you, it means that you've already got their trust, and you're already related in that. So they're going to take you seriously when you talk about it. You know, it's not like the guy that's selling shoes next, say, hey, you want to invest in a real estate property? No, I mean, you're a real estate agent. They're going to take it from you like as if you've done it all the time with all your clients, right? So you should capitalize on that, take advantage of it.
And it was just more of an introduction for you guys too.
Yeah.
I wanted Clarence to kind of talk and just give you a general idea. And then after that, of course, we'll get into more detail as well. That's why he was answering just some of your basic questions. But the main idea was just to have a general presentation to get understanding. He's going to be back with us a couple of times so you can get deeper understanding. There's no way where we can talk to you for 45 minutes and then you know it like that. We're going to have to talk about it maybe 5, 6, 7, 10 times until you know it perfectly. And then all of your questions are answered so you can tackle at least the first 30% of all the questions that he has to go and do before he goes in. And then he's going to piggyback off his clients back to us as well. So we'll be able to work a good system that way that will make sense. So we are always keeping the client in-house in our circle.
Yeah, and
right?
another thing is I currently am just setting something up with an insurance-based company that's in this area right here. And basically they're going to have a ton of clients to kind of see a lot of these things. And then that way, if it, you know, it comes down to the real estate side of things, and there's always something that can be done. And, you know, I'm very big on, you know, just because I have access to do certain things, you know, I'm not a real estate agent, I can't sell you the house, so I'm not going to talk about it. No. If that is something that they want to do, send them that way and have that be done. And if we can do something through here, by all means, right?
Well, that's why we were gonna talk about that for everybody here as well, is that we can circle our clients in one circle with each other.
Mhm. Yeah, and then just so you know, like on the syndicated mortgage itself, like when I speak with a client about it, generally, it's over minimum 2, maximum maybe 4 appointments. But sometimes it could be a total of 2 to 6 hours sometimes, because of the fact that they have to understand what they're doing, right? And they all get independent legal advice, so they have to, before they get to that lawyer, they need to know everything. You know, I don't want them going there with half information. So there's a lot of in-depth work. I mean, it's worth it to them at the end, it's worth it to me at the end as well, but, you know, at the end of the day, that's how it is. And that's why I couldn't just come here today and explain it all to you like that, because it would be, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
No, appreciate the introduction as well.
One quick question,
Yeah.
I want to mention, like you mentioned 8% that's fixed interest, is that a fixed amount, 8%, or does it vary?
Well, right now, it's all at about, they're generally all about 8%. Now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, depending on what interest rates are, obviously that'll change, because, you know,
But I
it'll
mean,
be,
if you're in the program, like say
Yeah.
you're in the program, you guys are paying out quarterly,
yes.
is it gonna be a fixed 8%
Yes,
for
it's
that
fixed.
whole term, or is it just?
No, it's a mortgage, it's a fixed rate mortgage. So
Okay.
basically, if it's
So
a
it is
5-year
fixed.
mortgage at that 8%,
Okay, so
8%.
it's okay.
Yeah, so some people that say, hey, what if rates go up? Then for them, I'll say, okay, well, let's do a 2-year or 3-year deal, so that way you don't have that reinvestment risk and you can go, you know?
Yeah,
Okay.
involved.
For the client buying the house when she or he is getting his mortgage, is there a difference in the down payment? Like,
No, it has nothing to do with it. What it is basically is they're utilizing the syndicated mortgage as an investment vehicle that generates cash flow on any excess funds that they may have. So, you know, like if they were to sell a house that didn't have a mortgage, and say they put a down payment of 100 grand and now they have this other 200 grand sitting there, right? They can use that 200 grand, put into an investment to protect it from getting dipped with the marketplace, with the traditional marketplace. So they're preserving that at that level, and they're getting paid interest on top of it that they can use as cash flow, right?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, if they're looking at growth, a lot of times, like I said, a lot of these deals have a bonus mechanism. That's not guaranteed, but it's a bonus. But the marketplace that they were in didn't have a guarantee either. So this way, they still have the ability of having that growth, but they're utilizing the cash flow. They don't have to work as hard themselves, and they can live life.
Does it throw their debt ratios off at all for
No,
mortgage?
because remember, they're not, the only time that'll happen is if they're actually borrowing money, then it'll affect their debt service ratio, right? If they're borrowing money, because there's money that they have to pay back, right? But it will, the money coming in will be counted as income as well on the other end. So it could balance that. But I mean, for someone that has excess cash, you know, like you mentioned, people that have extra money, for them, it doesn't have any impact because they're not borrowing any money. They're the bank. They're lending it out, they're getting money back.
so, no, yeah, I got the point, but my question was, I'm a buyer,
Yeah.
I have 5% down, no bank is approving me. If I go and apply for syndicated mortgage, should I be approved?
No, you're not applying.
Oh,
Syndicated
he's
mortgage
got
is-
another question, actually. His other question
That
was,
is from different point of view, not from the buyers, right?
Okay,
so say I'm one of your investors, for example.
yes.
I contact you and I say, I'm gonna give out a mortgage.
Mhm.
And 2 of my brothers here are gonna group with me, we have a syndicated mortgage, we wanna lend out 20%. So
Okay.
he brings you a client who's got 5%, would you facilitate that 20% deal?
Okay, no, the syndicated mortgages that I'm referring to is specifically as an investment
Yeah.
where you lend money to developers of property and.
But
not
can we do it
everyone-
this way, though?
Yeah.
It's only for developers?
No, the one that I'm talking about on the investment cash flow side, yes. Now, you can create, I mean, I know you've done that many times as
Yeah.
well in the past. I mean, there's private mortgages that you can do as well that work similarly. It's just, you know, but yeah, I mean, that often, there are people who do that all the time.
Are you not generating any taxable income?
You are.
The bank's gonna look at
Yes.
that.
It will, it does come as income, and because of the fact it's like a, you know, it's a fixed rate income and that it's consistent, they will use it as income, it's investment income.
So it increases your chance of mortgage. Like
Yes.
Conventional mortgage.
Yeah, like I said, in that family was a third employee,
I
right?
mean, whether you rent your basement or you got a syndicate.
Anything, any money coming in from anywhere that's consistent is income, right? And you report it. I mean, even if you have, you know, people have businesses, any income really will go to your total income line, except like on the business side, they look at net business income when they're calculating your total. But for anything else, it's gross, right? So.
Great. Great. Any other questions, guys? Any other questions? We'll have a follow-up presentation for you to get more information, so don't worry. It's not like this is the only presentation and you have to understand everything right now. This is just so we get started on step 1, and we'll go to step 2, step 3, and we'll learn even further and get more information and try to apply it to our clients to see what we can use and what we don't want to use. So you'll be able to choose what's good for you and what's not good for you. So it'll be totally your choice. Okay?
Okay, perfect.
Good?
Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks a lot, man.